Hi there, I'm meteorologist Robert Speta with our evening update on Tropical Storm Gabrielle. Now, do remember that these updates are always to inform and educate, no hype here, so let's break down where this storm system is headed now and what we are seeing, at least at this time. And I can tell you here on our Wednesday evening, it's not terribly organized, nor is it looking very healthy here on satellite imagery. And the forecast reflects this. You know, a lot of people focus on this making to a Cat 1 intensity, but that's not until about 4 to 5 days out when it does move into an area more favorable for intensification. Over the course of the next, 48 to 72 hours, the National Hurricane Center maintains this being kind of a weak tropical storm, fighting off a bit of shear and dry air just towards its north. And we can even see that here on satellite imagery. If you look at the infrared, and it's kind of hard to tell, but the low level center is actually right in here. And then you have a lot of this shear kind of bombarding it just towards north. That's what this hard edge is here, just north of that low level circulation. We can even see this better on water vapor imagery. You have a lot of that dry air just like that. You have that flow coming in from the west, and this is basically smacking right into it. And finally, on visible satellite imagery, really hard to see the low level circulation. It's actually right in here. We can see this. Basically, if we look at the visible satellite imagery, this is what you actually see from space. And the infrared only pick up those colder cloud tops aloft, but the visible kind of shows this exposed low-level circulation. And I point this all out because as forecasters, or if you want to forecast yourself, don't always look directly straight at the models. Always check the satellite imagery and see that initialization forecast and see if it jives with what we are seeing out there right now. And it kind of does. The NHC showing this really disrupted, a lot of shear, and it's going to fight and combat that over the course of the next 48 to 72 hours. So you look at the history, even over the last about 24 hours, this has maintained this kind of weak intensity. Now it's up to the strongest it has been thus far at 50 miles per hour sustained. But do remember, that's still kind of a weak tropical storm. And let's jump this over to some of the guidance, because the GFS and the ECMWF have even been flip-flopping on it. GFS at this time kind of keeping it a week all the way out and through Thursday and the Friday, and even as it turns towards the north, maintaining that kind of tropical storm intensity. It doesn't really show this becoming a full-on hurricane anymore. The ECMWF kind of does, and I point this out to remind you that that forecast intensity forecast can waver a little bit. So don't be focused too much on what we are seeing out there right now with the forecast of becoming a Cat 1. It might maintain a severe tropical storm type intensity, or it could intensify a bit more once it moves into this more favorable area. I think the key thing you want to take away right now is it doesn't look like it's going to impact any land areas directly, except Bermuda. And you can see right here, could be passing right over Bermuda, bringing some big waves with it. We're talking, some wave heights in this particular image around our WW3 watch, 6 to 10 feet. Long period swells, though, hitting the east coast could be several feet high and definitely creating some rip currents with a potential impactor as we go ahead into the week and early next week. These are your spaghetti plots. Now, this is the ECMWF and the GFS ensembles, really kind of emphasizing that turn towards north as it finds that break in the Bermuda High and kind of kicks off in that direction. I do see these little guys off here towards the west. Now, if that unlikely scenario did take place, this is actually assuming the storm significantly weakens out and basically just kind of stays south of the ridge because it's just a disorganized, jumbled mess and it doesn't get hooked up like that. I know you see that and you kind of get worried, oh, that's pointing towards Florida, but do remember that's with the ensemble. I think it's kind of picking up there. It's really high confidence to turn towards north because of this, because of this big dip in the trough. Almost acts as a force field, the jet stream here, allowing us to hit that and get shuffled off towards the north and east. So there will be a period of time where it could intensify, basically about 800-900 miles due east of Florida, where it would be running into those warmer sea surface temperatures and a brief period of reduced shear, but yeah. There's also several areas behind this, nothing I would be worried about at this time, that shows a low chance of tropical development from two different waves coming off the coast of Africa, something we also want to just continue to monitor over the upcoming days. But for now, Tropical Storm Gabrielle Yeah, 50-mile-per-hour wind, still tropical storm. Expecting to maintain that intensity as it fights off a lot of shear and some dry air. I'm meteorologist Robert Spett. As always, if you have any questions, shoot us a message here at First Coast News.